Hello, and welcome back for another Baldur's Gate 3 build video. This is going to be the perfect build for Astarion. It's a rogue and a paladin build. This build is actually very, very strong. I think it fits his theme perfectly and really, really well. It fits his personality, and I think it just fits his overall story. So that's why I chose it for him. This build actually works with any character, and it's really, really good. You actually, if you want to min max, you're probably going to go with the Githyanki or preferably an orc. But I think it fits Astarion and his personality and his story and his character. I'm not going to go into any story spoilers, but we're going to dive into the build and we're going to look at how it works and why it translates best for him, in my opinion. So first and foremost, we are going to go Paladin. And you think Astarion a Paladin? Really? Well, we're going to take Oath of Vengeance. And I feel that fits very thematically with his quest for vengeance against his master. Most people already know, it's not really a spoiler or a surprise, that he is out for vengeance and blood against Cazador. So I think Oath of Vengeance works perfectly for him. He has taken an oath to take his vengeance on Cazador. Ability scores, we go with a flat 10 strength. Well, we want to pump up our dexterity since we are going with rogue. We are going to be doing a Dexadin, so it fits thematically. 14 constitution, intelligence, wisdom 10, and charisma 16. Since we are going to be playing a paladin, we want them juicy smites. Now, you could probably work this out with a strength build as well and still be really, really strong. But I wanted to go for thematics and, dexterity and, building it that way since, we're going to be sneaking around and stuff like that still too. Skill proficiencies, we got athletics, sleight of hand, insight, perception, and deception. Those automatically come with it. We are not very proficient in those. The ones I selected was athletics and insight to boost those up as well. So our first level up is going to be continue going with Paladin. We get our divine smites, and we get a few smites over here and some really good spells down here. So we are going to be going with dueling for our fighting style. This gives you an additional 2 damage with a weapon that is not two-handed or versatile in one hand and no weapon in the other hand. So this can be done with a shield in your offhand and a rapier, which we're actually using in that one, or, another one-handed. This actually fits thematically pretty well because you could be using a finesse weapon, which is going to be required going forward for this build. So this is actually very strong with it. Prepared spells, don't really worry about this too much. I'll go into the spells that are prepared later on. I'm not going to be picking those. For starting out, what I would really be focusing on is Shield of Faith, and not bless because we run with the cleric, and they're going to be doing thunderous smite. Compelling duel, I don't really care about that too much because we're going to have another melee character in there with us. You can go for heroism or you can go with searing smite. That's fine. Command is always useful. All right, we're continuing Paladin level 3. We get divine health, abjure enemy, vow enemy. You gain advantage, and you can frighten an easy enemy, make them easier to hit. These are very useful. You get Bane and you get Hunter's Mark. Prepared spells. It is what it is. You can choose whatever you feel fits your theme better. You can go with heroism. You can go with a divine favor to give a 1d4 radiant damage. This is actually really good. All right. So we're going 4 in Paladin. We are getting our lay on hands charges, and we're getting a new feat. Our feat is going to be ability score improvement. We want to get our dexterity up as quickly as possible. Same spells, you can choose whichever ones you want. And we are taking 5 levels in Paladin so we can get the extra attack and some spell slots. We gain additional spells, and we gain oath spells down here. So for our prepared spells, you can have aid if you don't have a cleric. I always run with a cleric, so I don't really need aid. I run Branding Smite, which is actually good if you have enemies that turn invisible. This will prevent them from going invisible. You can do magic weapon to give a +1 to your bonus attacks for concentration, which is fine, but I don't really run that too much. You could also do lesser restoration to cure a creature from spells, disease, poison, and blindness. This actually comes in handy. The good thing about a paladin is all these, all these spells, and you just run with which ones are prepared. So I change different spells out depending on the fight. So level 6 is where we change things up again. I know we get the Aura of Protection. You gain plus bonus on saving throws. We're not going to worry about this because we have a cleric that helps us out with that. So what we are going to be going and doing, we're going to be multi-classing into Rogue. This is where we get our sneak attacks. And then we're going to be adding in our abilities. We want the Sleight of Hand 8, Stealth 8, because we are going to be stealthing around. You can put this into Athletics as well, but these are really good since he's still acting as your rogue character. And I feel those are very helpful in a party dynamic. And we are continuing to 2 levels into Rogue. We get Cunning Action Hide, Cunning Action Dash, and Cunning Action Disengage to make all these a bonus action instead of an action. All right, for our 3rd level in Rogue, we are actually going to be taking Assassin to get the additional bonus action, which is very helpful. So we can use a bonus action to hide, and then we can use a bonus action to come in and smite somebody. Because like our Thunderous Smite, our Searing Smite, and our Branding Smite, those take a spell slot action and a bonus action. So we have one left over to smite if we go in and we have to hide while already in combat. Say we get come across a battle that kind of surprises us a little bit. Also, another option to go if you are interested. I like the bonus action preferably, but you can go Assassin with this. This build actually is really good with Assassin. All right, so we are going to be taking 4 levels into Rogue so we can get this feat. And then we're going to be upping our ability improvement as well because we want to get that 5 into Dexterity. That helps us with our initiative, it helps us with our damage, and it helps us with our armor class. All right, this is where we're going to be switching up as well. Uncanny Dodge is really good to where an attack hits you, you only take half the usual damage. That is really good, but we are going to be going over here, and we're going to be going into Fighter. And I'll explain why as we go through it. We get Healing or Second Wind, which is a good little heal for just the cost of a bonus action. We're going to be going with our fighting style, and we're going to be getting Defense for that +1 armor class. All right, we are taking the 2nd level in Fighter. This is going to give us our action surge for a 2nd round of actions, which is juicy and really good for any build. Our 3rd level in Fighter, we're going to go class that subclass most people don't really go with, and it's not Battle Master. Most people are going to be like, well, Battle Master has so many uses, and it really does. This could be a good feature for this build if you like Battle Master instead, but what I'm going to be going for is Champion. So what this does is you get improved critical hit. The number you needed to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. This effect can stack. And I'm going to show you why here in a little bit. 1, it stacks, so that's really good. And we just need a 19 instead of a 20, which is phenomenal. All right, so we're going to be taking a look at our gear. And a lot of this gear I have in the late game, none of it's necessary for the build to function well. You can run this build perfectly well without any of this gear, and you will have a grand time. But some of this gear, and there's even gear that I don't have that could actually work better with this, but we are running the Dark Justicar helmet. We get this from a fight later on in the game. A +1 bonus to saving throws against spells. Convert critical. While you're obscured, the number you need to roll a critical hit while attacking is reduced by 1. This effect can stack. This does stack with the reduced by 1 from the champion fighter, but we have to be obscured. Shade Slayer Cloak, Stealthy Critical. While hiding, the number you need to roll a crit while in fact is reduced by 1. So this is already a reduced by 3. So instead of having to roll a 20, we have to roll a 17 to crit, which gives us a lot more critical strikes. Yanti Scale Mail. So this I picked up randomly. I can't even remember where I did it, but It does work really well. We are running medium armor. You can run plate, but I prefer to run medium armor because it doesn't give us penalties to stealth ability checks, as you see here. This one also adds our dexterity modifier to our armor class, so that is why we have plus 21 AC, which actually really helps. So that way we don't have to run heavy armor to have a high AC score. And then we get a +1 bonus to initiative rolls. Then we have Legacy of the Masters. Arming enchantments gain a +2 bonus to attacking and damage rolls, and you get strength saving throw +1. This is good. Any gloves that you think would work well with the build will work. I was running this for a little bit. I got those. Luminous gloves actually works really well with this as well. Icarus gloves for noxious fumes if you're doing acid damage on top of it. So if you're using poison potions. And then Gloves of Heroism actually works really well. When you use your Channel Oath spells, you gain Heroism and then +1 saving throw. We also get Disintegrating Night Walkers. This gives us Misty Steps, and we can't be enwebbed, entangled, ensnared, and can't slip on grease or ice. This is actually phenomenal. We get this in Act 2, and you get this very early on, so this is good in at least one character, and I think it works really well with Astarion because it helps with positioning, of this build in particular. Spectre's Eye, you can run a whole bunch of different necklaces. This, I have Ruining Way and Fear. You can run a different thing than this. It doesn't really matter. This one actually really works well. Is Paralyzed and Critical once per long rest. When scoring a critical hit, the humanoid wearer is paralyzed for 2 turns. This is really good, but in the later game, they usually don't survive long enough for this to happen. So, the ring, Eversight Ring, Blind Immunity. I love this, especially on my melee characters, especially because I'm running a Warlock with this, or Warlock multi-class, and this is another build video I'm going to do. And we use Darkness, so that way Astarion can't be blinded. And then this is actually really good with the build, and I do recommend it, is Ring of Shadows. This gives us Pass Without a Trace, so it gives us a +10 bonus to stealth. And then we have Duelist Prerogative. This is actually what you get for a quest dealing with a certain character in Act 3. I'm not going to spoil it, but this is a very, very good, this is probably the best in slot weapon for this build. And you can just use a regular rapier or a finesse weapon that has the most damage, and you will do phenomenal. But what this one does is Eloquent Duelist. While your offhand is empty, you score a critical hit when rolling a 19. So we have to roll a 19 or lower, and then with the other effects that stack. So we only have to run a 16 to do a critical hit. Moreover, you gain additional reaction per turn. So the additional reaction is Withering Cut. On hit with the melee weapon, you use a reaction to deal additional necrotic damage equal to your proficiency bonus. Another thing that we get with this over here is while you're not dual wielding, you can make an additional melee attack with the dueler. I did test this, and you do have to have nothing in your offhand. I tried it running with this shield, and if you are not running this weapon yet, and you have just a regular finesse weapon, I do recommend you running a shield. And I ran this shield right here for the longest. This is another best in slot shield for anybody, and this is very late in the game that you get this. So you can just run a regular shield or a shield with +1. So this will give you 3 armor class, which is really, really good. But I think this is the best shield in the game. And then we're just running the highest damage crossbow or bow that we can get. I haven't really focused on it with this character because I use other characters for range specifically, but this actually helps, and we can use Arrow of Many Targets or a whole bunch of different arrows while we are not in range. Say we've already used our Misty Step on both of these, or we don't want to exceed a level 2 spell slot because we want to use those for our smites. Then we can actually just use range until we can get in there. So we are looking at our stats over here. We have Ambusher. These are all my features that we are running it from our gear and from our passives. We do have Vampire Ascendant. We did make him, this is probably a little bit of a spoiler, So I'm not going to talk about it too much, but we do have that. It also gives us an additional 1d10 necrotic damage to all of our attacks. We have athletics plus 4, 5, sleight of hand 13, and dexterity bonus 13. And then we are proficient with all these weapons. But remember that we do have to have finesse weapons to be able to sneak attack, which is very, very important. And as you can see, we can hit some massive sneak attacks. All right, now into our tadpole powers. If you don't want to look into tadpole powers, then I suggest you skip into a later part of the video. And we are going to go into these now. So the only tadpole powers I took are up to Luck of the Far Realms. So that way, if we have not hit crit, or we want to guarantee that we hit a crit, this is really helpful. Other than that, it's not needed. This build does not need any tadpole powers. Now, if you wanted to go for more tadpole powers, you can definitely do that. I have other characters that do perilous stakes to make enemies vulnerable to all damage. This is very helpful. You can do Thralls of Shield. You can do Cull the Weak, which is actually very helpful. And you can do a couple other things when you are, you can do Half a Lithid, to where you can get, what is it, Mind Shield or Mind Temple or something like that. I can't remember. That'll actually do the same thing as the champion to bring it down to you'll only need a 15 to make a critical hit. So with all of our spells, this is the basic setup that I run. Like I said, you can switch these in out interchangeably. Hold Person is a very good spell to use, but it uses a level 2 spell slot. So you got to be careful with these because you don't have very many spell slots to use. All right, so I am going to show here how you would basically play this build. I have Gale, I have Shadowheart, and I have my main character right here. And this is the basic party setup that I always run with. I don't always run with Astarion, so it depends on what my main character is going to be. But with this build right here, this is the setup that I run. So I'd run a Throw Darkness down. Go over here with Astarion. Use my crouch. Then I'll come over here with, where's my Thunderous Smite? After I change these, my stuff moved. Okay. So I'll come over here with my Thunderous Smite. And then I'll hit him with that. And we'll just go ahead and make sure it's a crit. All right, and then we'll do a Branding Smite on with it. And that took him down to half health. He tried to walk away, so we'll hit him with another Smite. And that only leaves him at 91. All right. So we're going to come back over here and we're going to finish this guy off. So we're going to, I'm going to go ahead and Misty Step behind him. And then I'm going to hit him with a Sneak Attack. Hit him with another Divine Smite. Action Surge. He's about to blow up. Hit him with another attack. Hit him with the Withering Cut. And he's taken out. Probably better ways you could have gone about that. Just let him blow up on his own. But that's essentially what I want to do that. And you see I'm over here. I have no more Misty Step. But I still have actions to take care of. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to use this bow on these guys. And I'm going to use that. And there we go. All right, so if you guys like the build and you like the video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos coming out this week. I'm going to be doing a couple of the build videos that I have done. I like to do my build videos as a full playthrough, so I fully play through the builds, so I know they're good and I know they can run through and complete all the content of the game. So that is why it takes me a little while to do this sometimes. But I will have a couple more out this week, and I'm going to be doing a full review. I have, well, a thoughts video or a review video after 500 hours, because I've had 500 hours in the game, and I have done a few playthroughs, so I'm going to be doing that, so stay tuned for that as well. Thank you very much for choosing to watch this video. T-Bone out.